Hello everyone, and welcome to this very special episode of Travels with Delaney. We are currently celebrating our 2-year anniversary on YouTube. It's hard to believe that on June 26th of 2017 we posted our very first video under the channel name of Travels with Delaney.
Hi everybody, my name is Patty.
And I'm Patrick.
And we are traveling with Delaney.
That is so crazy.
It is crazy.
What an amazing day. So thank
Where did it go? So what we'd like to do in this particular video is we have invited Russ and Kerry from The Roads We Roam to kind of moderate this special video to talk about that 2 years and what's been going on, and then just really to share that with you, because we really feel like this celebration is our subscriber celebration as much as it is ours. Yeah. Because without subscribers, really our YouTube channels are nothing.
Exactly.
So at this point, I know it's going to be odd for all of you, but I am going to turn over the microphone to somebody else, and so we'll let Russ and Kerry take it away.
All right. Well, first off, we're honored to be here and ask some questions. We've got some interesting types of questions to ask you.
We're nervous.
Yeah. They're all good here.
Okay.
I'll tell you one thing that kind of that I was a little confused with, and I think maybe other people may have been confused with, is your channel name.
Yeah.
Can you explain how you came about your channel name? And I think a lot of people, like for the longest time, I really thought your last name was Delaney.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll let you take that one.
Sure. We decided when we started the channel, and looking back, we probably would have maybe done something different, I don't know. But we named it after our dog, Delaney, our Cocker Spaniel. Because we took her everywhere. She went camping everywhere. She was part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't leave her behind. And so that's why we thought when we started the channel, let's make it Travels with Delaney.
Makes sense.
So.
Yeah.
But we're actually the McCormicks.
McCormicks,
So
yeah.
we don't get offended though when people, send us emails like Dear Delaney's,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
we'll arrive at a campground, somebody will recognize, say, hey, the Delaney's are here, and
Right.
that's cool. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
So.
Delaney lives on.
Delaney lives
that's her
on.
legacy,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I have to be honest with you. After getting to know you better, I had to go into my contacts and change your last name from Delaney to McCormick.
That's funny.
That's actually a
Yeah.
very common
Common thing.
Yeah.
mistake,
Yeah.
and we can understand why it is confusing
Yeah.
now that we have Truman and Bess. We don't
Mhm.
have, and people did ask us, about changing the name of the channel,
When
but
she passed on. But
right,
no.
we just had at that point invested in the channel as far as logos, and people knew the channel, and this way it's kind of a tribute to Delaney.
Exactly.
Exactly.
She's
Yeah.
always
So,
with us.
yeah.
So.
Very
Yeah.
sweet.
Now, one interesting thing that we found out just by talking to you over the last day or so, it seems like you've been RVing for a very long time. Can you explain when you started and kind of the progression of your rigs?
Oh boy,
Yeah,
we've had a lot of rigs.
we started, I think it was in 2005, and it really started, we had taken a trip with our very first dog, Maddie, and we had such a hard time finding nice hotels back then where you could stay with your pet, and even then most hotels don't allow you to leave the dog to go out to dinner or things like that. And so on that ride home from Mississippi, I said we ought to buy a camper so we could take Maddie with us. And we honestly started looking for a pop-up. Most pop-ups were more than 1,500 pounds, which is what our SUV at the time could tow.
Mhm.
And we found a 2005 Tab, and it was 1,500 pounds, and so that's how we started. And we had that camper for 2 years, loved it, and then we just decided we wanted a bathroom. And so we traded for a Fleetwood, and we had it for all of 6 months, because then we took a seasonal lot site on a lake, and it felt like we were in a hallway. So then we traded in on a big, like I think 32-foot Jayco.
Right.
Wow.
Had it for one summer,
Yeah.
and it just had an odor. It was a used camper.
Just
and we,
couldn't get the odor out.
Yeah.
Tried.
The hazards of buying used.
Yeah.
So we traded that in on a like a 30-plus foot Hornet, brand new.
Mhm.
We had it for a year,
Yeah.
and then I don't know why. I can't really remember. I don't know if I was just in the trading mood, but at the end of that camping season, we upgraded to a fifth wheel, 35-foot Cougar. We actually had that for 8 years.
Yes, loved it.
And loved it. The fifth wheel towed. Most of the time I didn't even know it was behind us. It towed great. And the only reason we really got rid of it was when we bought our log cabin then, the fifth wheel was parked like 15 minutes
Right.
away.
Mhm.
And we just said, now we'd like to get back out on the road more, and so we started downsizing. So then we traded on a vintage cruiser,
Okay.
and a lot of our subscribers
I like
know
those.
that it was a really
Cute.
good-looking camper. It was cute. Unfortunately, it leaked from
We
day
had-
one.
We had a bad
And we just
situation.
had a bad experience, and
Yep.
so we had it about a year, traded it on a the other thing was we had decided if you're going to go small, you might as well go small.
Yeah.
So I think the vintage was about 22 feet, 23 feet, and we wanted to go down closer to 18, 19 feet. Had the Jayco Hummingbird, which we loved, but we had a lot of issues with the refrigerator and Jayco as far as warranty work, and that's how we finally ended up with Carl, our new Cam Tab 400. So I know it's a lot of RVs over a lot of years.
So I have a question. How do you find traveling with a small 18-foot trailer? Because it sounds like you've had experience with some pretty large trailers.
Yeah.
How do you find the differences?
He's going off card. No
I am.
card.
I am.
Yeah, no, it's
He's winging it.
And I think a lot of people, we get a lot of questions through our channel about that. People looking to buy a trailer for the first time, what should they buy? And, here's what I would say is if you're going to go big, I like fifth wheels.
Yes.
When we had the 30-foot plus travel trailers, I was constantly white knuckling. Every time a semi would come by, you would feel the sway. And we had everything. We had weight distribution, we had sway bars. When we purchased that fifth wheel, and everybody had told us, go fifth wheel. I remember the first time a semi went around, literally Patty had to say, do you realize the semi just passed you? We never felt it.
I didn't know that.
And then she looked at the speedometer and said, you need to slow down. Because I did. It was so smooth. We were cruising along 75 miles an hour.
It's like, whoa.
So if you're going to go big, this is just my opinion, then if I was ever to go big again, I would go fifth wheel just from a towing standpoint.
Okay.
If you're looking for lots of space, the big RVs give you much more space. They're going to give you more things like bigger kitchens, more storage, walk-around beds, but they also could limit where you can camp. We love national parks, national forests, and a lot of times because those were built so many years ago, you can't put a 35, 40-foot fifth wheel, or if they have sites, they only have 2 or 3 and they book up so quickly.
Yeah.
So the reason we love this 18-foot is we can park it almost anywhere.
Yep.
In fact, I can park at a Walmart and only take up 2 spaces. We don't, we can park in spaces versus long ways where you're taking up 6, 7 spaces.
Exactly.
And so I just think it depends on what your needs are, what you're looking for. There are people who could never travel in this 18-foot trailer,
Right.
or at least not for long periods of time like we do.
Yeah.
They would probably end up in divorce being in such tight quarters. What we've found over the years is when you're in a small space, you develop systems.
We get a pattern,
Yep.
a routine. Yep. If you're on, especially in this one, if you're on one end, I'm on the other.
Yeah.
You can't be in the same area at the same.
Right.
You got to just figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
And Patty's good at organizing as far as really figuring out how to maximize not only the little cubbies, but you're real good with the up space,
try to go
telling
up.
me where to put command hooks and we can hang these things. And
And just rolling our clothes because
Yep.
that takes up less space.
That
You
is
can
the
roll.
best way in small rigs for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we're going off card,
Yeah.
you mentioned Carl. So
Yes.
for anybody new, how did you come up with the name of Carl?
Okay. We're Disney people. We've worked at Disney a couple summers.
Which is something a lot of people may not know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were actually cast members. I think it was in 2000 and 2001, the summer. We were crazy back then. When I look back now, I would not do what we did. We didn't have jobs.
No.
We just packed up the 2 cars,
Had Maddie at the time.
reserved a short-term lease for an apartment, rented furniture. We show up on a Saturday, move into our apartment on Monday. We head over to Disney casting. Looking back, I'm thinking, what if they had not have hired us? We just assumed they were going to hire us. And
it really wasn't an interview, and they just put us in a location together.
They were very nice
Otherwise,
about that.
We wouldn't get to see each other if they put us in opposite places.
What did you do there?
We were at a resort that we had a timeshare with at the time.
Disney's Old Key West
Okay.
timeshare
So
resort.
we kind of knew the resort, and so what we would do is I didn't enjoy it, but you would drive pontoon boats.
So we'd run the shuttle between Old Key West and downtown Disney. That was one. We were in recreation was the
Right.
actual job title.
So whenever I had that job, we would switch.
I would pick up her shift. She didn't like driving
No.
the boat.
Didn't
and,
care for
I
that.
loved it.
Yeah.
And then there was that little place where it was called Hank's Happenings, where people would come, and at the time they rented VHS.
People
or
would-
sports equipment or whatever.
Bikes and
And then
boats.
you would do that, and then right next to it was like a community hall where kids could do foosball, and you had arts and crafts and a big TV
yeah.
for gaming and stuff like that. So we hung out with kids and did things like that. Had to clean the pools
Yeah.
a lot. Clean towels.
Hand out towels. That was a rough
big
job.
Bins
Yeah.
but then with the dirty towels, you had to get the bins of dirty towels and swap them out with the clean towels. Remember that? They
Yeah.
had to be. They were heavy.
Yeah.
So
And then periodically, what I would do is I would pick up shifts at other locations. So Disney actually, and I don't know if they still do this, but back then they had an overtime hotline, and you would call in and you tell them what you were trained to do, and you tell them, like, I might call in this afternoon and say, hey, do you have anything available this evening? I'm looking to pick up a 4-hour shift, and I'm trained in recreation and whatever. And then they'd look on their computer and say, yeah, would you like to work Fantasmic selling lighted goodies for the Fantasmic show tonight? It's a 4 to 9 shift. And so, like, I worked Fantasmic a couple times where I'd walk up and down the stadium aisles selling lighted spinning Mickeys. I worked quite a few shifts over at the Magic Kingdom in audience crowd control, which was basically we would set up the ropes before the nighttime parade. During the parade, you're just trying to keep people out of the exit ways and keep the sidewalks moving. And then as soon as the parade's over, you take your ropes down. So it was a quick shift, and I loved that. And so, and one of the things I loved about it was we would set the ropes up, and then you'd have an hour and a half till the parade started. So basically, they paid me to stand in Main Street, USA, and talk to guests and take pictures.
Talk about a rough job.
Yeah, a rough job. Like, I know it's really hard for me to talk to people, but I force myself to.
So was one of those guests named Carl?
no, but to get
Oh
back to
yes,
your-
back to the question.
So a Disney movie Up has a character in there, Carl.
That's right.
And when
Who
we
wears
saw
really thick black glasses.
Yes.
And when we
Yes. I
saw
see
the
that.
trailer, because we named our other trailer Buzz.
Buzz, our hummingbird was Buzz.
Lightyear.
So after we saw it, we're like, it's got to be Carl.
I don't know
Because
why.
it
Like the
looks
first
like
time I
Carl.
saw this thing with the white with the big black stripes,
Yeah.
and I said to Patty, I go, it looks like Carl from Up, and she goes, oh my gosh, I didn't think of the big black round glasses, and
I never saw that
I-
until looking
exactly.
at it, and
Yeah.
now I see eyes.
That's all I'm
Yeah.
going to see now. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
after we actually purchased it, we were driving back to our campsite with it, and we're like, what are we going to call it? And we threw out some, and I think you actually said, Patrick, I think it's Carl. Like, it just feels right. And then the tow vehicle is Fred. And that's actually kind of a funny story. So I had a red Saturn View years ago. And so when we went to look at the 4Runner, which was a used 4Runner, we didn't know what color it was. Our salesperson just said, you ought to come. I've got this pretty nice 4Runner. And we showed up, and I see it sitting there, and I go, it's flippin' red. Hence Fred,
Fred.
flippin' red. So that's why we call it Fred. Because a lot of people are like, who's Fred?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are the odds that another SUV would be red? So.
I started racking my brain. Fred, Disney characters. Fred,
Yeah,
Fred.
yeah. So no Disney character on the tow
Russ
vehicle.
is like, is Fred Flintstone?
Okay, so we'll get back onto the cards
Okay.
here. So a lot of us have YouTube channels, and I'm sure a lot of your followers are not just viewers, but they have their own YouTube channels that they're working as well. And we're always interested to find out why these YouTube channels were created. So why did you decide to create this Travels with Delaney YouTube channel?
Well, I mean, I think, we started watching YouTube, gosh, we've been doing this 2 years, probably 4 years ago. Initially, we were doing backpacking, and I would go on YouTube to look for tips on backpacking. And so, we talked about our earliest YouTube channels were not RV channels. We watched a channel that we still watch today called Syntax77, who does a lot of backpacking, hiking. Another one was Sticks Blog. And then if you go back in our videos far enough, if somebody, and a couple, Liz, was it Liz that told us that she had seen, or Kathy, not Liz, Kathy, who we just saw in Iowa, said, I saw your backpack. Like, she went far enough back in the playlist, and there's some backpacking videos where I talk about how light our backpacks are and things like that. That was kind of what started us, but that summer that we actually started recording, we had just started watching Less Junk, More Journey and Keep Your Daydream. But one of the things we noticed was we couldn't find any YouTube channels that dealt with pet travel. And so the original concept for this channel was we were going to focus on how do you travel with pets. And that first summer we headed out, we did, and I didn't intend to do it this way, but we kind of did what you did. We were doing a video every day. We did 21 consecutive days of videos while we traveled out west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
And about halfway through, that 1 or 2 subscribers that we had made a comment like, I thought this was going to be about pet travel. I haven't heard you mention the dog at all. And we realized early on it's probably not going to be a pet channel. And so we've kind of morphed over the years into who we are now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why we started, was thinking we thought we could provide value for pet owners. But then we realized with an RV, we don't go out to eat a lot. We originally were thinking we could share like restaurants and cities where you could take your pets and things like that. And for us, it just didn't work
It didn't work out that way.
Yeah, hotels and that sort of thing. I think if you didn't have a self-contained living
Right.
space, it would be a little bit more conducive. But I can see the struggle with it because you're sleeping here, you're not in hotels.
Right.
You're cooking here.
Right.
So I get it.
And it also goes back to the first question with the name, Travels with Delaney,
Yeah,
so
right.
tying in traveling with pets on that.
Right.
Right.
So my next question, what do your students think of you being YouTube personalities?
YouTube stars.
Yeah.
Mine, when they found out, because I didn't really publicize it, and then I had things hung up in the room, and then 2 years ago, a couple students of mine just asked me about what's that mean, and they had the logo, so I told them about it. And my goodness, right away they're like, we're going to subscribe, I guess, a YouTube channel. And so they were watching and they'd comment. And then this year, one of the kids who I also had last year kept wanting to try to get us to be a gaming channel. Mr. Kramer, you're going to hit it big if you be a gaming channel. I go to Bradley, I said, no, Bradley, our game would be boring. It's like Yahtzee.
Yeah, that's what we play, Yahtzee.
And Uno, it wouldn't be what you're thinking, like Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they thought it was pretty cool. And then they kept asking me as this year, a couple more kids in different classes would hear about it, and then they'd say, it was really funny. They're like, Mr. Kramer, do you have any merch that we can buy? Any merch? I said, we're coming out with merch soon. So
Gotta
I
get
know.
up to date on all the lingo.
Yeah. So a couple of us said, make sure you ask your parents first if it's okay. I don't want you, buying when you're not supposed to. But I know a couple of them bought the Summer of Sunday shirts. So, but mine thought it was actually kind of cool. I guess I made a connection with a few of them. So
For sure.
Unfortunately, our demographic is like 55 plus.
Yeah.
And the typical college student really, no, they're not into it. Now, our older students do, but no, I don't think, we always talk, I made the comment on the way out here, when we go to places where people know us, they really don't want to see us. When we go to places where people don't know us, then they really do want to see us. And I was referring to like a family get-together we had, like, so for my students now, it's not a real big deal, but Patty's students seem to really get excited
and the
about
ones I
it.
said, what do you like best? And they're like, the midweek update, they like those best.
Yeah.
They like, oh, you're so funny, Miss McCrum. I was like, damn. But whatever. Sure.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and just having that unique connection for the kids to get to know you in a different way.
Something different.
Because I remember just being a kid and growing up with these teachers for, just, if you saw them outside of school, it's like it took a second to recognize them. You're a person with like family and
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So moving on, we decided to try to switch things up a little bit. Remember that show, The Newlywed Game, where they'd ask questions? Well, we asked Patrick and Patty just a few questions off camera, separate from one another, and we're going to see how well they know each other.
Okay.
And maybe with some of their RV related questions.
This could be bad.
This could be bad.
Yes. So Patrick was asked, what is your least favorite RV task? And we want to know how well Patty would know the answer to this. So what do you think he would
His
answer?
least favorite
task, the RV task.
I'm going to go with the black tank.
I said the dump station.
Station. Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
Does anybody actually like
Nice.
sitting in line at the dump station?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Congratulations,
Wow.
guys.
We're going to celebrate now because that might be the only one we get right. So,
Okay, so now Patty was asked, what is the funniest thing that had ever happened or that you have seen while on the road? What do you think she would answer to that?
funniest thing that has ever
So
happened.
it could have either happened to you or it could have happened to other people.
Oh, this is tough. because now I got to think back over 2 years.
Wait till your 10-year anniversary.
I know. Funniest thing. I'm going to go, this is fairly recent, but I'm going to say it was on the way out here when Patty turned around and Bess had gotten out of her harness.
I saw that
was
video.
funny.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But
I went back a little further.
okay.
This is not RV related.
Okay, then in that case, I want to change my answer. I thought we were sticking with the YouTube timeline. Then I'm going to say it was the time I had a straw stuck in my nose.
When Patrick accidentally got a straw stuck in his
Oh,
nose.
wow.
Okay, now you need to elaborate.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need to elaborate on this. We want to know.
Poor Patrick.
Go ahead. Think of the time it will save you by telling it on video. You want to tell each individual
See,
person.
now I knew this would be good because as she's writing, she's giggling.
Yeah.
And
See, once you said it was before RVing, then I knew where we were.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we went out to breakfast. We were on vacation in Orlando, and we were at a breakfast place. Captain Nemo's. I actually remember the place. And we had ordered our food, and the gal we had water. Patrick went to take a drink of water, and he missed his mouth, and the straw went up his nose. And what's funny about, not the poor guy with the thing in his nose, but the ladies across from us were cracking up. And then he was so shocked.
I was shell shocked, and I dropped the glass,
He just sat there,
and the straw didn't come out, and the straw's just hanging out of my nose.
And I had to crack up. I was laughing so hard, but I had to reach over.
Half the restaurant was laughing hard. So.
see, now we are all wishing that was the time they had the camera.
Yeah.
Too bad we didn't.
And
have
that was
cameras.
honestly, we probably had only been married like 5 years at that point. And it was just one of those things where I was looking at something and I bring the glass up, but I brought it up really fast, and I mean, it just planted that straw up. I mean, it actually hurt. And then, these ladies, I see these ladies like giggling, and I put the glass down, and it's literally just hanging there. And I think you reached over and pulled it out.
I did.
So
So ever since then, no straws.
Patty says I'm never allowed to have straws anymore.
So he won't put a straw in his
Wise
drink.
Very
decision.
wise.
Yeah.
Very wise.
All right.
Well, so I'll give them that. They two so far. Yeah, got it. All right.
All right, so Patty, we asked Patrick what his favorite campsite was that you've ever been to.
Oh man. Favorite campsite we've ever been to. Well, I'm going to go with when we had the first tab and we were at the Smoky Mountains at Cosby, and we were right along the stream because he was a little stressed on getting the camper there, but they helped him out, got it there, we spun it, and we're actually right next to the river, the stream.
That's actually a good one. I forgot about that. So I went with this one, the Lower Tetons, because this
Oh,
It is gorgeous.
So,
Yeah.
but that Smoky Mountain one was one of our first
that
trips
tab
with the
was so
tabs.
light you could spin
I
it.
remember we were in. It was at the time it was a Jellystone along this creek, and the guy says since we were so small, I think we were like 15 feet or something. I used to lie about the size because people have these big RVs, so I'd say, yeah, I think our RV's 18. They'd look out and they'd go, yeah, that's not 18. But
With the
and he says,
shadow.
and it was this amazing site that they could normally only put like tents or really tiny campers on. And I remember he goes, we're gonna put you up there, and I'm like, and I wasn't good at backing. It was like the first time I'd ever owned a trailer.
Oh my goodness.
And the owners were so good. They literally, I said, will you back? And they said, no, we're going to talk you through
It
it.
was a
Oh, that's
distance.
nice.
yes,
And they
a
did, and
distance.
they were so good at it. They would literally be able just to tell me which way to turn the
Right,
wheel.
left,
Yeah.
right.
I'd forgot about that. Was a good campsite with the stream. We do like streams. We like I thought about Denny Creek from last
Yes,
summer. That was
nice.
gorgeous. But this, 2 reasons this is great. It's free.
Yep.
And this view. I
It's
mean, you can't put a
amazing.
price
Yeah.
tag on this view.
Yep.
We looked at it yesterday. It was a little bit overcast when we came in, but this morning when I walked out,
The
it just hit
sunshine,
me.
yeah.
I was like, wow, that is just breathtaking.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's a beautiful view.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So
Uh, 2 out of 3.
Patty was asked what's still on her bucket list. What is the one thing as an RV activity that she wants to do really bad that you have not done yet?
I'm going to say Alaska.
Go to Alaska.
Oh, you guys are impressive.
Alaska 2021.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So excited for that.
We've talked about Alaska for a really long time. I mean, actually, Alaska was one of those things my mom and dad talked about for years.
Yeah.
My dad really wants to go to Alaska, and see, there's that Boston, Alaska.
Yeah.
I'm not from Boston. We were talking about Boston accents last night. So they had always talked about going on an Alaskan cruise or going to Alaska. So I think for me, part of it is I want to walk in. I want to do what my parents wanted to do. And in fact, I will tell you, we mentioned Alaska 2021 in Iowa eating breakfast with my dad. And he goes, "Count me in."
Awesome.
Now we'll see. We'll see if he's
how
up
that
for that kind of a
happens.
drive. He made it to Iowa and then they turned around and went home. They didn't make it to the Tetons, so we'll see. But I think because we had originally planned to do it this summer, we just talked. It's one of those. It's just a. I don't know how it's not a bucket list item.
Yeah.
item.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Agreed.
so
It's been ours for a while as
yeah.
well. So.
I mean, when you watch other YouTubers'
Yep.
videos, and they all say like the videos don't do it justice.
Right,
You have to, and so.
Yep.
Well, I notice that on a lot of things where I'll sit there and take pictures or video because it's just awe-inspiring, and then I look at it after, it just didn't capture what I
Exactly.
felt at that moment.
Yeah.
And translating that is a very difficult
It's
thing
hard.
to do.
And I think, I think there's going to be some really neat things to see in Alaska. But for me, I think it's less about Alaska as it is the journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that drive there is going to be so amazing. And then the way that we're planning on doing it as a group,
Yeah.
and to be able to share that with other people, share the excitement, but also the fears, So when you do pull off a roadside for the night, it's not just you wondering, is this safe, but you've got this caravan.
Exactly.
So, and I've always said camping is a group sport. To me, don't get me wrong, Patty and I like every now and then to just take off the two of us. But most of the time, we have much more fun when we're like with you guys,
Yep.
or Chris and Stacy, or whoever it is,
Yep.
hanging out. And so I just think Alaska's going to be awesome on so many different levels.
It
Yeah,
is.
we're super excited about that too. Yeah. All right, so we are going to move on, and
We're changing it up again.
All
yeah.
right.
So this is going to be kind of like rapid fire, and it's
Okay.
going to
First
be
thing that comes to mind.
yeah, exactly. So we'll have each one of you answer.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is composting toilet or tanks.
Composting.
Okay. Hamburgers or hot dogs.
Hamburgers.
Okay, so I have to explain this one a little bit.
Okay.
None of us like to drive in either one of these, but if you had to choose, heavy rains or high winds.
Heavy rains.
I say rain.
Okay. Grill or smoker.
Ooh.
Smoker.
Smoker.
Ooh.
And now the most important one of all.
Russ or Kerry.
Ooh. Oh.
Russ and Kerry.
How's that answer?
See, we weren't falling for that
Yeah, I know. Man, they were quick.
one. Yeah, that was like, you're not catching us here.
Well, we are so excited for you guys and so happy you've hit that 10,000 threshold, which is a huge accomplishment. So we're very happy for you, and we just look forward to traveling with you again,
Yeah.
meeting up with you, and watching your adventures, and I'm sure everybody else is as well.
Well, and again, thank you so much for taking time to do this with us. And
Oh, Fred!
Fred had to get into the show.
I had to get into the show. Wow, what are the odds that that would happen right during the video? So anyway, that seems like a great way to kind of wrap
Wrap it
this
up.
up.
Yeah.
So again, thank you to all of you that are subscribers, whether you've been with us since
Yeah.
day one or you just recently joined us. We couldn't do it without you,
Right.
and we hope you're here with us next year when we celebrate year 3. And make sure you stop over to these guys'
Yeah.
channel, check out the Roads We Roam, and make sure you subscribe and follow them as well. Till next time, everybody, we'll see you. Should we do it together? On down the road. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.